Hello again. This is Mark. This is Spring 22 video for 307. This is the sixth video. Last time, let me bring back up the schematic here. Here we go. Okay, so this is where we left it at the end of video 5. So the schematic is done. You know, so everything is should be done. I should be able to run the rule checker here. Run ERC, and it says no warnings, no errors. Okay, close that. So this is where we left everything. Before we can actually start on the layout, we have to have everything has to be in packages. And there's a up here there's a run footprint assignment tool. Now we assigned most of these as we went. And I left off a couple of them intentionally, and so we need to go through and fix those. So here's our list of things. The C1 is 100 nanofarad. It's an 0805 in metric. Okay, all these caps look just fine. The diode was a 1206, the Schottky diode. The LEDs are all 0805s. That's what I've got in my stock, so that's what we're using. USB connector, that looks like the right one. Now we got a generic connector. The J2 and J3, let me move this out of the way for a second. Oh, those are the connectors for the servo motors. So that's these guys. And, you know, 10th inch center pins is what's going to be, that on the board will be just fine. The one on their design, on their driver board that this plugs into, I mean, it's polarized. It's got these plastic little knobbies on them to keep you from plugging it in wrong. It's got this plastic housing around it. We're going to go for a generic, just 5 pins sticking up because it takes up less board space. Okay, so connect that over here. I just need to get back to here. Okay, so I'm back on this screen again. I need this one. So connectors, we actually want pin headers, and we want 10th inch between them, and they're listed as millimeters, so that's the 2.54 millimeter. And then over on this side, we've got all sorts of options. I want a 1x5, and you can see they're all here. And here's 1x5. There's a horizontal, there's a vertical, and an SMD pin left, SMD pin right. We really want the verticals. And if I just double click on that, it'll just, it copies it over and it goes on down to the next one. And I want the same thing there. A 105 vertical. And the next one down is a 3-pin header. I put 2 of those on the, or 3 of those on the board. A couple of them are for servo motors. And then one of them is just kind of like a general, you know, input output, a couple extra pins. It's like, I've got the pins, and if I don't run it into a connector, I can't use them. So I'm going to use just the same basic connector, a 1x3 though, and again a vertical. So connector, pin header, 2.54, 1x03, and I still want the verticals. The horizontals take up a lot of room, so I really don't want to use those. Okay, and I got 2 more of those. Okay, the ULN 2003. Okay, so the part that they use, this is a ULN 2003. It's a dip package. It's huge. I'm going to put in this one. This is a ULN 2003 that I've got, so it's not very big. And this is an SO package. And, you know, I went and looked and measured it. So this is the 3.9 by 9.9 millimeter with the pins at 1.2 millimeters. So all I have to do is go down here. Oh, I keep doing that. Let's go back here. I can go over here and say package. I believe this is it says package SO, which is what I want. And then it's we got all these options here. This is a package SOIC. And we got all these things down here. Here's SOIC 16. And this is the 3.9 by 9.9 millimeter 1.27 spacing. Okay, that one's good for me on this one. Oops. This is a new package. Let me try this again. Let's see, what did we get? I have no idea where it went. Okay, let me try this again. Package, SO, and it was clear down near the bottom. SS, SO, IC, 16. It's line 155 if I have to remember it. Okay. And I want 2 of those. The next one's the same thing, is that. Okay. Now the CH340, which actually is the identical size, you can see down right the next line below it. That's that USB to serial adapter. Same thing there. Okay, so I think that's everything now. So everything's got a thing. Okay, so here's our we're basically done now. I want to save it. That's always a good thing to do. And okay, so now that that's all in place, I'm ready to start the printed circuit board layout. And I can do that by, up here in the corner, right here is this Open PC Board Editor. Now click that, and it just took over my entire screen. Let me make this substantially smaller and get it in the right place. I want it to. Okay, so here's our PC board editor, and what we need to do is we have nothing on it. Now we need to get it to build this for us the first time, and there's an option that's right up here in this top center, and it says update PC board with changes made to the schematic. So every time we make changes to the schematic, this will create it for us. And then I click that, and it says updated PC board schematic, and it just said added all these things. I can just ignore all the options, their replace footprints with those specified, just leave it just as it is, and just say update PC board, and then I can say close. Here's all my parts, and the first thing that, okay, I'll click it down so it stays in one spot. The first thing I notice is this 6-pin connector is massive, and it's like I don't think I want to use that. That's that in-circuit serial programmer pins. And my issue is that they set it up for the plastic housing around it and all those things. We're going to use that connector once, and we're not even going to solder pins into it. So it can be small. I don't need all the stuff around it. I just need those 6 pins in that order. I don't need this much gap around it. So, okay, I'm going to save this anyway, and I'm going to do flip back to the schematic for the moment. And I'm going to come back and do the packages again. Run footprint assignment tool. Okay. And the one that's getting me trouble is right here. The AVR ISP-6. That's the in-circuit serial programmer for the AVR systems. Okay. So if I just replace that with a connector, and I just want to do a pin header again. Pin header 2.54, and I want a 2x3. If I go down far enough, I get out of the 1 by whatevers, and I get to 2x3 vertical, which is the one I want. So I'll just do that, and I've changed that one now. I say okay. I'll save it. Now I'm going to go back to the printed circuit board layout, and I'm going to click the same button we clicked to create this whole thing. I'm going to say update PC board with changes made to schematic, and I'm going to say update and close. Now you can see this connector's nice and small, so that'll work way better for us. Okay, so next thing up is how do we even get started? The way I like to start is I want to make sure that my layout is really easy to deal with in terms of a lot of different things. And I've done this a bunch of times. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to want to draw 2 edges of the board. I really don't know how big it is going to be, but I also want it to be on snap points. And on a snap point, that makes everything really easy to because we're going to have to close it's going to draw a line around the board, and we have to make sure that it closes perfectly. If we do it on snap points, it makes it really, really, really easy. So the way we do that is we click on the grid button up here at the top, and I want to make it really big. And I'm just going to go for, I can go for, in this particular case, I'll go for 1 inch. And you can see that the mouse only stops at 1 inch locations. And I only want 2 lines of the outline of the board, because I don't know how big it is. It doesn't make much sense to go much farther. So I'm going to say, click on edge cuts over here, because that's where it needs to be. And this drawing tool, which is this line, this will be the actual shape of the board, so we can do all sorts of stuff. Now, these parts are not organized in any nice format whatsoever. So, and we'll be moving everything around. So what I want to do is I want to draw maybe, okay, so this is 1 inch per click. So I'm going to do from here to there. And then I'm going to hit the escape key so it stops drawing. The thing I've also noticed is it's actually telling me in millimeters. No, I really do want to be in inches. So I'm going to, over here on the far left, I'm going to click inches. So here's my board outline, and now I can start moving parts. And the goal is not to put any traces in until we're really sure we can do that. And I've done this processor a lot of times. And the first thing I'm going to run into is the fact that my grid is still set at 1 click. So if I try to move a part, it's going to try to move it in 1 inch increments, which is not going to work. So let me put the grid back down to really, really small. So I'm going to go back down to 0.001 inch. That way I can move things really smoothly. And I can grab the whole thing as a bunch again. I can just do this. And I selected everything, and then I can just hit the M key for move, and I can move the whole thing. So I can move this out of the way a little bit. And one of the things I need to put in here is, and I'll hit the escape key, so I unselect everything. And I would just want to grab the microprocessor, because that's one of the big things. That's got all the traces to it. And I'm just going to put it down in here somewhere, and I'll probably have to move it a little bit. And, here's the USB connector. That's got to go right up against the edge of the board. You'll notice that it has this thing that says PCB edge right on it. That really does have to be on an edge. So let me zoom out and zoom back in here while I'm on an edge. I'm going to rotate this until it gets like this. I'm just going to set it. I mean, it really needs to be like that, where it hangs over the edge of the board. Okay. Now, the other thing is if you have 2 parts that only have 1 wire next to them, they really need to go next to each other. And, as I said, I've done this design so many times with this processor, extra peripherals, but the processor so many times. I know a few things that will help me. First off is the crystal. That's this guy, the Y1. And it needs to be located. You want these 2 lines really to be pretty close. Those 2 wires on the processor chip don't go anywhere else other than the crystal and the 2 caps that go to ground. So if I take these and if I move this in, now you'll see this line around the parts. That is called, those are the courtyard spaces. And technically you can let them overlap and you'll get a warning. Right now, let's just put them up really close. So, I mean, it's fair game to put them right up next to each other like this. So, now the other 2 parts that have to go along with this are the, are the 2 caps that go with the crystal. Let me jump back here. Okay, that's C6 and C7. So I could go find C6 and C7. Okay, let's see here. There's 5. Oh, these are really hard to see like this. Oh, there's 1. There's C6. Let me just move it over here for the moment. Where's C7? There it is. Okay. So zoom out, zoom in. How you set up your zoom stuff to work on your system, I have it different on my own 2 systems. Okay, so if I take this guy and move it again, and let's see, I can rotate it. You see that the 1 trace goes to ground, so that's always, grounds are going to be everywhere. And the other trace goes to just that pin 3 there. Let me do some rotating of this. I'm going to rotate this a little bit. Oh, wait. Does that make sense? No, because this wire goes to this one. This wire has to go to here. This one has to go to here. So it'll route down through here. This one and this one are not connected. So, no, it needs to stay in that format. Okay, so I can take this, not that. I want to take that. And I want to move it pretty close to here. And this capacitor, I want the ground on the bottom, and I want to move it really close into here. Don't worry about the labels. In fact, a lot of the labels get in the way, and we can turn some of those off. Let's see. Up here under, it says layers, and it says objects, and then there's values. I certainly don't need that. And it does show the ones that you selected, but at least this will show you what's, give it to you a little bit better. Okay, so what else do we have that we can connect really well? Let's see. Let me spread these things out a little bit, and we'll try to figure out where to put them. Where am I doing time-wise? Okay. Let's see. So we've got these. This is the UL in 2003. I'm just going to set it up here for the moment. And that connector seems to go with it. And you can see those 4 wires are straight across those rat's nest lines. So when I eventually put it, I can put them really pretty close. This guy, this is that in-circuit serial programmer stuff. I'm going to put that down here because I happen to know that you can see all the wires where it connects to the micro. I do want to keep that relatively short, so I can just put that down here somewhere. Now I'm going to adjust all these parts a little bit, so I'm just trying to get them so they reduce the number of the length of the wires. Now, the other thing I've got is on pins 12, 13, 14, I've got R6, R7, and R8. And then I've got the diodes, and it goes to grounds on the other side. So I want R6, R7, and R8, and the diodes that go with them. And I bet I can get that R9, this resistor here, and this diode all together and make them really close. So if I take see, it's on the bottom pin. Let me rotate that again so it's on the top. So let me just put that. I'm just going to put it in here for the moment. R6, D7, that. R7. I might want to switch my zoom methods here. You see, that goes just to that one pin. That's the only place that goes. So if I put it just right here, I know I can run a trace just right straight through. That'll be really easy. R8. Okay. And now I need R9. Let's see here. R9, there it is. That goes to SCK also, which is on that 6-pin connector. So again, that keeps the traces relatively short, so that'll work. Now these 4 all go to the LEDs. So let me just drag these LEDs down here. That one goes down here. That's a diode. That one goes down here. That's an LED. And that's an LED. Okay, so that should be all of them. So the first one, ooh, no, I'm not. Okay. Well, we shall fix that. Let's see. That's the that's on TXD and RXD. Those are 2 different ones. So I need to save those for later. Let's see. What do I need? D6, D7. and I want D4, D5, D6, D7. Okay, I need 4 and 5. Well, there's D4. I don't have to put them inside the board for the moment. There's D5. Okay, so let's see. D4 goes first. Okay, so let me get this guy out of the way. Now, this resistor only goes to that diode, so I want to put the ground on the bottom. So I just want to put them kind of like that. Next one is D5. Move, rotate. D6. Rotate. And D7. Okay, so as I do this, and you can click to zoom to everything. I'm trying to shorten the overall length of all these rat's nest lines. So that's not a bad place to start. Now, I can actually run these a lot closer to the edge. So I may just pick up this entire block and move it down. I might pick up this whole block and move it down and move the micro down too. And let's see, what else do we have? This may not be a bad place to stop on this particular one, but note, I've spent 20 minutes and I haven't done a single trace yet, which is fine. Spend more time doing this than you do running the traces, because this will make the traces running way easier if we spend time here. Okay, so I'll save it, like we always should do, and I'll see you in video 7.